RRN Ropen Radio Network is brought to you by 511 Tactical. Always be ready. By the Ark Encounter. Think bigger. By Creation Evidence Museum of Texas. God's Word in 6 days. And by the Wildlife Safari, America's top cheetah breeding program. You are closer to Africa than you think.
Good afternoon, ladies and gents. You are watching the Ropen Network, and Salem is listening. I'd like to thank all my fellow Oregonians for following us on CC Media. This network was created for you, the eyewitness. Let's take a look at some current events that are happening. Strange Realms investigator Robin Moonshadow found herself in a very familiar place. This is Bishopville, South Carolina, to be exact. Folks, this is the famous Scape or Swamp. Back in 1988 when Christopher Davis had his first run-in with the notorious Lizard Man. The bipedal reptiloid chased after him and climbed onto his car. It was only when Chris slammed on the brakes that the creature was sent hurling to the ground. Now, Davis died from a gunshot wound back in 2009. Great footage of the swamp, and I'd like to thank Robin for sharing that with all of us. Something else I came across too I'd like to share with all of you is kind of an update. I came across some older footage captured in 2011, an expedition led by Rex Gilroy to the Woomera Rocket Range in the northwest pastoral region of South Australia. It shows what appears to be tridactyl prints, presuming to belong to the famous Beringer. Now, I believe it was Greg Foster, the one who actually recorded some of this imagery. You can go to the site yourself and look for it. I find it interesting. There's pictures here of mutilated cows along with these tridactyl prints. Now, the hard part is trying to determine the stride. And maybe Greg Foster will be happy to share that with us at a later time. The stride of the prints. And then at the same time, there's something not quite right with the prints, although they do depict 3 toes. Very fascinating stuff. Be sure to check that out. I'll post a link for you. I think you'll find it quite interesting. There are those who would be very skeptical of what Rex does. I personally would love to have a chance to speak with him, but his health conditions would not permit. So we'll take it for what it is. And it seems to be some great research going on out there in certain areas. But keep in mind, too, this was 2011. This is before Dave Wetzel's investigation himself. This next article has been out for maybe since the end of February. And it's kind of a new story, and it's making its rounds, and it became very interesting because most of the headlines put it out as Jurassic insect found. Hold on, let's take a look for ourselves. But the bottom line is extinct lacewing was found. That was the headline. Michael Scavarla was on his way to do a little shopping when an interesting-looking insect perched outside the store caught his eye. As an entomologist, Scavarla did what came natural to him. He snatched the winged creature, took it home, and mounted it alongside all the other critters in his collection. Then he forgot about it, and then 8 years later, while teaching a virtual class on biodiversity and evolution, at Penn State University, Scavarla made the startling realization that the insect might be something special. Aha, now we get to it. He picked up the specimen in 2012. That was 10 years ago, from outside a Walmart in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Arkansas. No surprise there, because rumor has it that there are extinct survivors in Arkansas, or maybe migrating. When he grabbed it, Scavarla assumed it was an antlion, a dragonfly. It was a type of insect that mostly has translucent wings that he'd been collecting because he thought they were neat, as he later tells Lauren Leffer. But when he put the long-forgotten specimen under a microscope in front of students, he saw for the first time that maybe it wasn't an antlion after all. It didn't have clubbed antennae like it should, Scavarla tells the New York Times. It didn't have a lot of cross veins in the wings like it should either. Indeed, he now reports on the journal that the critter was a rare giant lacewing, an insect that scientists had thought was extinct in eastern North America. These nocturnal critters date back to the Jurassic era, more than 100 million years ago. I beg to differ, more like thousands of years ago. Of course, they're an ancestor of some sort, but those back then were much larger. With his students, he poked around online until he found a photo of a giant lacewing with its roughly 2-inch wingspan, which looked like a match for the creature. Then Scavarla, along with his co-author J. Ray Fisher, an entomologist at the Mississippi Entomological Museum, began sifting through historical records and analyzing the specimen's physical characteristics to verify its identity. Although giant lacewings used to inhabit eastern North America, there had been no record of them east of 100th meridian, which roughly splits the continent into eastern and western halves. Since 1960, per Gizmodo, Scavarla's specimen also represents the first recorded sighting in Arkansas, according to the statement from Penn State University. Since no one has recorded any other recent lacewing sighting in the eastern U.S., scientists don't have enough information to make more than educated guesses. Still, Scavarla's Walmart sighting, suggests that they haven't disappeared entirely, correct, and that there may be other small populations of the insect holding on in wooded areas of the east, says Robert Dowell, an environmental scientist with the California Department of Food and Agriculture, who was not involved in the study to new scientist Corin Wetzel. Okay, so I want to point something out here very clearly, okay? Some articles some people were suggesting this insect is not given the size. No, we're wanting to know the size of this thing. Well, in some articles, it doesn't mention the size at all that he found, but actually in some it does. 15 millimeters to be exact, okay? We know that in the ancient world, of course, these insects were much bigger. Interesting find, when you say, because he actually grabbed it, put it between his fingers, and continued shopping. Now, that would suggest that we're not talking about a very big insect, although the images show a big insect. Now, apparently, these insects can be found in the Ozarks of Arkansas. The population, I would say, is probably growing. It's an insect. They can survive. They are nocturnal, they're subterranean. Okay? I love this story, okay? Because again, it just seems, when you see articles like this, it just pulls your attention because you think, big Jurassic insect. But that's when you got to read the article for yourself and find out. I love the fact that he held on to it for 10 years and then realized, hey, something's not quite right. Nothing wrong with that. It's all right. But still, it makes for some great reading. Folks, let's talk ropens. How many of you out there are familiar with the research of Rex Yapi? Perhaps not very many. Well, this would be a chance to hear from him and see what he's up to these days. Now, he currently resides on Papua New Guinea, so we have a researcher out there exploring and looking for presumed to be extinct living pterosaurs. But on these islands, keep something in mind, they have different names for these creatures. They call them the core, the endava, the ropen. Think about that one for a moment here. This is why we named our network the Ropen. Has a fascinating name there, isn't it? It means demon flyer. To the people of Papua New Guinea, this thing is very real. But there are some who may not be too familiar with it, and I would say that's probably the government of Papua New Guinea. Rex is devoting his time and research to help people to understand the diversity that's out there, help them understand more about the rainforest in which these creatures could be thriving in. For the first time on this network, I get to hear his personal testimony of what he saw while living in Papua New Guinea. Folks, this is Rex Yapi on the Ropen Network.
Good morning, world. My name is Rex Yapi. I'm coming live from my small village, which is called Kumene. Kumene is in Pangia district, in the Southern Islands province. Southern Islands is located in islands of Papua New Guinea in the southwest Pacific. I am the eyewitness of flying pterosaur on Umboi Island. I saw that flying pterosaur in 2007 along Masikel Bay. At the time was, if I can recall, that was 16 years ago, so around 5:30 early in the morning. Yes, I was at the local village called Kapiton. Kapiton is the base camp in which I have been based in my jungle expeditions. So from Kapiton, I traveled down the southeast on a bandana boat with some of the local people there. Umboi Island is a volcanic island in which we got the three indigenous tribal people living there: the Yas, the Kauai, and the Kaimangas. Yes, Ropen is pterodactyl in Kauai language. So I saw that ropen. It's got its wingspan is about seven to 8 meters. Wow. It's a big bird. Ropen is normally seen as a bird, but later I found out that it's a reptile, flying reptile.
Okay.
We met. It's not me only. There was a couple of us on board that Panda boat. We saw that ropen, and then we had to stop for a while, especially at Masikel Bay. Masikel Bay is the transit point. There's a river coming out from that bay, and that river is called Goosh. So Ropen flies over to the mainland Papua New Guinea on the other side, of the west side, and then it crosses that Masikel Bay to follow that Goose River upstream, and then it flies onto. There's a mountain, the highest mountain on Umboi Island, and it's called Mountain Bell. There are several other mountains there. We got Mountain Talau, and then what's the name of that mountain? Mountain Bell. But Mountain Bell is the highest peak there. We got some cave systems there too. So that is the habitat in which Ropen lives and then breeds there. So in 2005, there was an expedition team led by a forensic videographer from California by the name of Jonathan David Whitcomb. He came with Gart Bassman and the other guys, followed by, but their trip went successful. In which why it wasn't successful, because they're supposed to have been led by people who own the forest up there. So like way up in the mountains, the real landowners came and then attacked them. That was one of the obstacles in which Jonathan David Whitcomb faced. And then we got sickness, because this is a tropical place, so we have malaria and other sickness, which did not allow Jonathan David Whitcomb's stay there, so he had to return back. Yes, I never knew that these guys came for Ropen sets there, but I went for another different purpose there. And then I saw that Ropen with the people there. Okay. The people, especially Tarawa Village. So Tarawa Village owns the mountain range, because Mountain Talau. There's a lake up there. At Mount Talau. It's called Lake Punk. Punk in Kauai dialect means hot water or fire. So there's a volcanic crater up there. So that is the flyover drones in which Ropen flies over, picks up its food there, and then it returns back to Mountain Bell. Mountain Bell is like to the east, and then the other two mountains like Barik and Talau are located to the west. Okay. So Ropen is a nocturnal. It flies especially in dark hours. It doesn't fly up there. It hovers over the treetops, canopy. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So I support Ropen. It's a big creature.
Okay.
It's a big creature. Any other questions?
Yes, I'm going to have plenty of questions for you, Rex. Let's hope I come through loud and clear, okay? Let's start with something simple. How many people
That's right.
How many people in your village know about this creature?
Ropen is an household name.
Okay. Okay.
As far as is concerned, it's an household name.
Would you say
Everybody knows that Ropen.
the Ropen is like the Sasquatch to us in the United States? That's what it's like out there.
Ropen to us is known by everyone in here.
Okay.
So it's more or less like a household name in which people respect that creature, and then people also fear that creature too.
Okay.
It doesn't come by like other bats normally do frequently, but once in a while it shows up itself.
Okay.
So
people clearly know what a bat is versus a pterodactyl, correct?
bat is a small creature.
Uh-huh.
Flying foxes, bats, they are small creatures. So, we all know that. But this Ropen it's like we normally call it as a dragon.
Yeah.
It's a big thing. It's a big animal. It's a big creature.
How big do they get, Rex?
Its wingspan is like 7 meters wide.
Did that scare you when you saw it?
Then of course, we have to stop the boat. We have to stop the boat because normally when the Kauai people meet Ropen, they go into the nearby bushes and they normally hide.
Okay.
In the fear of being attacked.
How often do they see
Ropen
them?
is an animal that... Sorry?
How often do they see them, Rex?
As I've said earlier, it doesn't fly often.
Okay.
It flies once in a while.
So
that was it.
Okay. Is the Ropen mostly seen at night or during the day?
Ropen is a nocturnal. It flies in the early hours, like 5:30.
Okay.
5:30 in PNC time, Papua New Guinea time. It's the daybreak hours. Yes, yeah. It's dawn hours. So like every place is not cleared yet, but still dark.
Yeah.
But we can see the sun is coming up.
Yeah.
And then 6:30 in the afternoon, in the evening.
Okay. So they're mostly nocturnal. They're mostly seen at night because that's probably how they prefer it. Just like a bat.
Yeah. It's a night bed. It's a night bed.
Okay.
Not total darkness, but like there will be some few sunlight there, and then when it's getting towards dark, like it's a nocturnal.
Okay. Does it have a tail?
Ropen, yes, it's got a tail. We have at the end of its tail, we will normally see a luminescent light. There's a light at the end of the tail.
Really? Okay.
And then you can see the mountain up there. It has a light. It has a light at the end of its tail. It glows at night.
Okay. Okay. Has anyone else seen it besides you? I mean, you mentioned a few people, but what about more villagers? More people in your village, have they seen it?
Yeah, of course. We got Robin what's its name? Barnabas Cowley. Barnabas Cowley.
Mm-hmm.
He's from Tarawa village. Then Solomon Umbais.
Okay.
They are from Tarawa village. In Kauai, they are the real landowners in which Ropen epithet is located.
Okay.
So Kauai is comprised of the Gopen village, the Hopai, the Tarawe, the Wongai, and then we got Bunsil.
Okay.
These are the Kauai villages. So all these villages, they have seen it.
Okay. Has this inspired you to do your research?
Of course. I have the passion for jungle jobs because of Ropen. But then I also grew up from the jungle background. You can see the mountain up there. That mountain belongs to us.
Wow.
So
that's why I'm going to have to come visit sometime.
Yes. That mountain belongs to this village here.
Okay.
So
how fortunate.
There are a couple of that kind of mountains. There are a couple of Umboi Island.
Wow, that's amazing. So that means you pretty much have ropens in your backyard.
Okay. Yes, ropens. They normally exist in here. They normally live in here.
Okay.
That's why I have to go up into the mountains to do jungle expeditions. Not Ropen only, but we have thylacines.
Yep.
We have Bigfoot.
I've heard.
Bigfoots. There are a lot of cryptids up there.
Okay. That's why you're doing a lot of your research up that direction, because that's where everything seems to be, and that's the epicenter for you. Would you say the Ropen is dangerous?
Of course, Ropen is it feeds on meat, flesh.
Okay. So it could attack a human being.
You try meeting a bird with a wingspan of 7 meters. You'll be scared.
Yeah, you would be.
That's why people are Ropen. Ropen is cultures, the Umboi Islanders cultures, their beliefs.
Yeah.
Are we okay?
Yep, we're still good. Got a few more minutes here. So,
all right, yes.
Rex, tell me this. This is important. Everyone here in the Western world says these creatures are extinct, but you're seeing them. How does it make you feel when people from our side are saying, no, they're not real, that's not what you're seeing? How does that make you feel? What do you want to tell the audience about that?
I think I have to tell the world that not every creature went into extinction.
Yeah,
that is the fact I have to tell the world. Being an eyewitness of that pterodactyl, I have to tell the world that not every creature has went into extinction. Mm-hmm. The cryptozoological researchers, somehow we are doing conservation job. Somehow we are assisting the geologists, even the biologists. Some kind of places in which they will never go, we go there.
It's true.
So if we can have the Ropen on Umboi, as well as the mountain ranges up there, if we can have the thylacine, these are not myths. These are not legends.
They're
These
real.
are the real creatures they are currently living there, this planet, as I'm speaking.
Yeah.
We have, for instance, we have the fossils of thylacines found that side of the place, this province. It's called, there's a mountain range called Mount Bosavi. Tylers are Tasmanian tigers found in Tasmania, in Australia, but then during the Ice Age period, like there was a land bridge called Saul. So those thylacines, they crossed over, they're still living on Mount Bosavi. Just like that, Ropen is still living on Umboi Island because in 2000 and what's the year? 2020 years, straight after my jungle expeditions from the Umboi Island, there was a guy by the name of Alistair Solomon Ambais, was one of my speedboat operators. He saw that Ropen flying over Tarawa village.
Wow. Rex, hopefully I don't lose you here, but I've got another question.
So,
clearly, Rex, you and the people of your village, the people of Papua New Guinea, know the difference between a bird and a flying reptile?
We normally have to clear distinction between the reptile and the bird. We thought that Ropen was a bird.
Okay.
But according to science, Ropen is a reptile. A reptile that has wings and then that can fly.
Yeah.
Just like the whales, we never knew that whales. We thought that whales and dolphins and these creatures were fish, but then they can live under the water just like other fishes, but they are mammals.
Yeah. Yeah, and I want to clarify to the audience that you're not saying that this thing is a bird. You're saying it's a reptile.
Of course, we thought that it was a bird, but then lately I've realized that it's a reptile. It has the characteristics of birds that can fly, you see.
Okay. Is that because there's something completely different in the way the wings look, the way the head crest is, the way the body is?
Yeah, of course. The birds have the feathers, but the Ropen doesn't have feathers. Like the what can I say? The feathers or feathers like other birds do have. It also can like get itself submerged under the water.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it can fish.
Okay.
So it doesn't entirely live upon animals in the jungles.
Okay.
It catches fish. It can swim.
Okay.
That's Ropen.
So,
All right.
You've definitely got my attention. And I feel like the best thing to do is to come to Papua New Guinea, to see you in person, and to do some research there. I think we're going to have to make that happen. I think with being that mountainside that's nearby, if these creatures are close, this is our opportunity to look into this. But I got to find out if I can get funding to come see you in person. That's what has to be done. I need to make that trek to you. So that's going to be my next step. Are you game with that? Would you be willing to have me in your village for a little bit?
Of course. I'll be taking you around playing different places.
Okay. Well, that's going to be my goal. That's one of the next steps. So I know I've taken a little bit of your time. I'd love to go more, but we're kind of breaking up. We're losing reception. That's why I think the best thing to do is for me to come to you in the near future. That's the idea. So I appreciate you. I appreciate your research, all that you're doing. Keep it up. You're doing a great job. I'm here if you need me, and I'm going to try my best to continue to provide you with resources to keep on with that research. So God bless all your work. God bless your people and spreading the good word that these creatures are still out in Papua New Guinea. Thank you so much for all that you're doing, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jake. If the global community can assist me in drone, that would be okay. Because
Okay.
I've got a plan. I have to go up to that mountain. That's Mount Yelibu at the background.
Yeah.
With some of these boys. Yeah, they have the local knowledge. They will be my tour guides. They will take me up there.
Okay. Well, that sounds like an amazing adventure, and I hope I can help get you there too and help provide more for your instruments so you can achieve your goals.
If you have further questions or do you want any further information, then I'll be always available to feed you from this part of the world. So on behalf of my people, my indigenous Mela tribe people, my Kumene villages, it's a pleasure. It's an honor to talk to Ropen Network, United States.
Thank you.
I'll shout out to the guys in the studio, Jake Esgura, plus his crew members. Our good morning to you all now.
Appreciate it, sir. We'll talk to you again soon. Thank you so much again for your time.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, folks, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to talk more about this ropen from Papua New Guinea. You're listening to Cryptozoological Talk on the RRN Ropen Radio Network. We'll be right back. If you're looking for tactical supplies, look no further than 911 Supply located in Kaiser, Oregon. They have everything from hats, jackets, belts, pants from the 511 brand, and gloves. I got their pair of pants. I used them in Arkansas. Kept me warm the entire time. So the next time you're out looking for your monster, make sure you have the right gear. Gets the job done. 911 Supply for all your tactical needs.
Want to see some dinosaurs?
Unbelievable.
Want to see Eden? Come on, it's almost time for the show. This is the Creation Museum.
Prepare to believe.
Don't take a lot to keep me moving. It's gonna take a lot to make me stop. I'm racing to a 5 alarm. Should slow down, but I just can't stop.
Welcome back. You are listening to Cryptozoological Talk on the RRN Ropen Radio Network. So what I did was I sent some images to Rex. He looked them over, and what we have sent him is an image of 3 different kinds of birds. One is the FrigateBird, which is known for being in PNG. The other is the great heron, or the blue heron. The other picture is of a cassowary. Now, I wanted to know if he's seen any of these, if he knows these birds. Rex's response was this: the cassowary is known as the kembe in PNG. So they clearly know what a cassowary is. This is a big fluff ball of a bird with a big body. Kind of reminds me of a turkey, but with the head crest. Okay. Now, I did bring up the FrigateBird to Rex. This is where it gets really interesting because Rex said he's not familiar with the FrigateBird. Now, that could be a big red flag for a lot of people who are the skeptics of the ropen. Rightfully so, okay? I was trying to get a sore throat or something. Let's continue anyway. So this could potentially be a problem. Or is it? Remember that the FrigateBird is not seen all over PNG. It's in certain areas. Any professional who goes looking for a presumed to be extinct living pterosaur is going to carry a scope with them or binoculars. If you see something, call it out. Get ready to zoom in. Why on earth would somebody say, oh, look, it's a pterodactyl? Well, how do you know for sure? Zoom in and look. Okay. That could be the case for someone who's visiting PNG, but if you live on Papua New Guinea, you're not going to say that. You're going to know exactly what it is. And like what he said, they have to duck and cover. They have to hide and wait for it to pass. I did show the picture to Rex. Nonetheless, this was his response. That's not what I saw. I saw a pterodactyl. Clearly differentiating between the two. Keep in mind that FrigateBirds have a wingspan of 7'5". That's pretty big. But a pterodactyl is bigger. A ropen is bigger. This creature has a 7-meter wingspan, according to eyewitnesses. That's 22 feet. That's big. That's big. I'm going to bring something up here to end the show. It's important because as soon as you type in the word ropen or the ropen, guess what's going to pop up? Something else. An article does. It's called Don't Get Strung Along by the Ropen Myth by Riley Black, science correspondent, August 16th, 2010. Smithsonian journalist. I thought about writing my own article and calling it Don't Be Manipulated by Riley Black's Biased Opinion on Ropens. Jacob Escara, cryptozoologist investigator, March 22nd, 2023. I have read this article over and over, and it seems to be the first thing that pops up when you Google the word Ropen or the Ropen. Now, what I do like about Riley's article is that it is well written. Yeah. And she does provide links to view for yourself. However, most of these links are no longer found. There are quite a bit of flaws in her article that I will mention. 1. Riley's not an explorer. Okay. 2. Riley made no attempt to travel to Papua New Guinea to speak with eyewitnesses or tribes belonging to the regions. 3. She chose not to interview cryptozoological investigators to hear their side of the research. 4. Riley's article is biased opinion, not fact. She leans solely on the theory of evolution to justify her article. Once again, it's okay to question creation, but if you question evolution, heaven forbid, you may not get a degree from an accredited university. Something else I will point out, where are the names of other famous cryptid hunters who studied the big bird phenomena? See what I did there? Yes, there are other cryptozoologists in the great state of Texas with strong opinions favoring living pterosaurs. Yet they are not ridiculed in this article. Why? It's because they most likely favor evolution, folks. I personally know these men, and they're good men too. But I would say they're on the favor or the side of the evolutionary theory. Pterosaurs were a diverse group of flying archosaurs, which evolved into a variety of forms. And if some pterosaurs survived for another 65 million years or more, we would expect them to look quite different from their fossil relatives. Creationists will no doubt resist this point, if you start out believing the Earth is only 6,000 years old. Fantastic claims are much more conveniently made, but given what we have come to learn about pterosaurs, we should have no expectations that a hypothetical living member of this group would look anything like its prehistoric relatives. This is Riley Black in the article. Absolutely wrong. First of all, have you ever witnessed anything evolve? No, it only adapts. By the way, Riley, are you aware that there are only 20 paleontologists in the world today studying pterosaurs? And they keep coming up with new concepts all the time. Ergo, not everyone is on par with the feather concept, not to mention finding complete skeletons is rare indeed. Folks, this shows just how much we do not know about them. We are just barely tapping the surface. Keep in mind that it is very likely that 2 separate species would potentially mate in order to survive. And for the record, this has been observed. But that being said, it's rare. This is more from Riley's article. Furthermore, even if a long-tailed pterosaur were found, it would do nothing to undercut the science of evolution. Rates of evolution vary across different lineages through time. Sometimes change is relatively minor, and other times it occurs at a rapid pace. And so a living long-tailed pterosaur would be a form that persisted for millions of years with little modification. Once again, have you ever witnessed something evolve? Again, this is rooted in evolutionary theory, folks. He or she is stating that a tail could grow over time or grow rather quickly. This part of the article implies that they have found every form of pterosaur skeleton on this planet, which is clearly not so. Not to mention, there are many paleontologists whom suggested that pteranodons with tails would be extremely doubtful. Extremely doubtful. Okay. Are we forgetting, Riley, that pterosaur fossils are fragile and difficult to find intact? Keep that in mind. She goes on. A pterosaur fossil found in Cambrian strata, or rock, hundreds of millions of years older than even the first land-dwelling vertebrates, would give paleontologists pause, but a living pterosaur would hold no real threat. Riley Black. Really? Oh, come now. Well, maybe in a way, she's correct. Although I believe the scientific world will be shaken to its core because they will start to question a few more things, wouldn't they? Perhaps nothing's extinct. Here's what most likely will happen. Oh, look, folks. This creature survived for millions and millions of years. It's an evolutionary miracle. If it is no real threat, then why is it so hard to believe that there are some alive today? We do have bones, do we not? Yeah. And this is where it's kind of strange when I get into these arguments or debates with Sasquatchers. They have a hard time accepting the reality of a living pterosaur, but they'll take and grasp the idea of a Sasquatch. But we have no bones of a Sasquatch, but we have bones of pterosaurs. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not against the Sasquatch at all. I do believe they are real. All right. I believe the main purpose and drive of this article is to steer people away from the truth and point them to a theory of evolution. The almighty Dot needs more followers. Sorry, but evolution and creation do not coincide despite what some radical pastors may tell you. Riley's article mentions the discovery of the coelacanth, which was found off the coast of South Africa back in the 1930s, but quickly bypasses it. Wow. You would think the discovery of a presumed extinct Cretaceous fish would be enough to silence the critics, but nope. Glenn J. Cuban wrote an extensive blog on the subject of living pterosaurs, and I must say it's by far more superior to Black's article. That being said, it's more or less the same viewpoints. Now, Glenn is an American computer programmer and independent investigator from Brunswick, Ohio. He is known for his work in the Paluxy River dinosaur footprints. I doubt he's connected to Dr. Baugh's office necessarily. And I love the fact that he's an investigator and programmer, and I'm not so sure he's really a paleontologist, though. And by no means a cryptozoologist. These are his words when he states in the article regarding eyewitnesses of LPWs. Eyewitnesses can also be subject to confirmation bias and otherwise influences even when entirely sincere. They can be affected by peer pressure and by the things they have seen in movies, books, websites, etc., including all the sightings they have read about in books and websites that promote living pterosaurs. In other words, sighting reports can feed off each other and foster more reports and more confidence, conformance, and details in them than might have been the case. What might be called the Me Too phenomena, witnesses can also have their memories or perceptions adversely affected when they are startled or frightened by something unexpected or unfamiliar. In the end, Glenn would suggest you witnessed these kinds of avian types. Nothing more, nothing less. Like this one. How about this one? Or maybe this one too. What do you think, folks? Was it a bird you saw? Glenn's article headlines confirmation bias. Yes, we know, Glenn, your article is indeed biased. I noticed that there is no mention of pterosaur articles going back to the 1800s, just black and white images of perpetual hoaxes. Well, why is that? Is it because they know historic documents tend to yield more credibility, but neither Riley or Cuban went searching for them? Now we come to it. In closing, I do come across these articles often, and in the past I found them to be quite comical. But now with you as part of the equation, I don't feel I can do that anymore. I can't laugh. This is a deliberate slap in the face to the people of Papua New Guinea and their culture. A people, mind you, that know the difference between a reptile and a bird when they see one. The same could be said of you in our Western society. The people of Papua New Guinea are quite intelligent, and these articles insult their intellect. If the supposed journalist of the Smithsonian Institute would have bothered to interview people such as Gideon Coral or Dwayne Hodgkinson, they may have written a completely different article. Or not. Because nothing will sway the thinking as it is deeply rooted in a theory that takes God out of the equation. Evolution is unverifiable. It cannot be tested sufficiently to be proven true. Long-time experimentation is impossible. And all long-term experimentation, such as E. coli experiments, show gradual mutation does not cross into higher complexity. Also, the theory violates Newton's law of action and reaction. They falsely claim the reaction, yet have absolutely no idea of the action that caused it. Darwinian evolution is unscientific, unobservable, unbelievable, but understandable in a world that hates its creator. Folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed the show. It was a blessing to have Rex Yapi here telling us about his sighting and the research he's doing out there. And I really hope and pray that the rest of us in this community can come together and aid him, do what we can to support the research out there. Because if you think about it, he's kind of on his own. I know that it's another world out there, and that's what most of the professionals have called the lost world. It's worth looking into, it's worth exploring. I sure hope I can go out there and see for myself just what kind of other creatures are lurking along that mountain, Mountain Bell. So, I hope that you all will reach out to him, try to do what you can to support him, as he needs us, every one of us. In the meantime, seek the truth, keep your eyes on the sky. May God bless every one of you on the other side of the screen. I'm your host, Jacob Guerra. We'll see you next time on the Ropen.